Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Productions channel here at YouTube. Welcome to another video. This, of course, was a video that I already had planned out anyways, as you saw. Kind of rephrase that, as you had seen in my last video, I had shown like stacks of records and of course had CDs or stuff, all with words of ideas there. So finally putting one of these ideas into a video. As you can see, this is where it pretty much turned out. It's of course 10 albums by 7 bands which cannot be recaptured. So without further ado, let's definitely get right in. This band definitely was pretty low because of while definitely their albums after this one were not bad at all. It's just that when it comes to the sound or whatever, this is definitely their earlier sound just cannot be recaptured. I'm talking about Running Wild. Of course, both Gates to Purgatory and Branded and Exiled. Now, whether or not these two albums were definitely the more refined sound, is just that sort of raw attitude. That's something definitely when a band matures on and on through their career, it's just something they'll definitely will never recapture. And that's definitely the case with both Gates of Purgatory and of course Branded and Exiled. I don't have to go on. You definitely know for one, sure, and that's of course the lyrical themes being more Satan metal, basically. Because after Brand and Exiled, they would go for more pirate themed with the lyrics. But that's not to say that some of the themes on Brand and Exiled more dealing with social commentary about war, politics, and stuff like that. Mostly talking about songs such as Gods of Iron, Fight the Oppression, Marching to Die. Kind of being very more social commentary. Man, that's something they would kind of throw in here and there, mask behind their pirate theme on some of the later albums. But for sure, Gates of Purgatory is still very Satan in lyrical theme, and that's something they definitely took away, or just something they left behind. But regardless, they're great albums, and they're definitely a sound they'll never surely recapture. So that's that with Running Wild. So, next band here definitely is Rat. Right here. And now, just like the same thing with Running Wild, the later albums are not bad at all. They're definitely good. But, just like with Running Wild with Gates to Purgatory, it's the same kind of here. Though not lyrically, but just attitude-wise, it's raw sounding. It's very, just more, almost kind of unhinged in some ways. Like songs such as Sweet Cheater being very speed metal and context and everything. You Got It. You Think You're Tough. Tell the World. Back for More. Just, it's just the production-wise rawness. It's something that they definitely kind of will not too much recapture on some of the other albums. Just like with the early Motley Crue stuff, and so on, or the first Dawkins album, Breaking the Chains. Just that kind of aesthetic, and just really good. Even though, again, I like those, but there's just something about the EP that just completely grabs you right off the bat. It's great stuff, for sure, and again, will not be recaptured. Alright, next one up is Danzig. Now, again, this guy's material later on, after this one, or maybe you could say with the fourth album, when getting rid of guys such as Chuck Biscuit and, what's the guitar player's name? Forgetting his... John Christ. You know what? Already, I just remembered his name. When he got rid of those two guys, almost in a way you can kind of tell that the quality definitely kind of dropped. Though, again, I haven't really listened to a whole lot of the later stuff, but I think here and there I did kind of check some stuff out here and there. But again, it just seems to be different from these first 3 albums for me. They're definitely a lot more on the hard and heavy aspect, almost kind of traditional doom metal. With, of course, switching some classic hard rock bluesy, just influences and everything, that even at times proto-heavy 70s sound, all mixed in with there, and that's definitely due to a guitar player, John Christ, who just added that in there. And when you got a riffs to such as a track like Dirty Black Summer, or Left Hand Black, Do You Wear the Mark, and so on, it's just... You just can't recapture this when you don't have the right guitar player in there, and who knows when Danzig will ever reunite with this lineup again. So with that, who knows? He did, of course, reunite with the Misfits, so anything could be up on the table. But who knows? But again, as long as he got the lineup that he has now, he will not recapture these first 3 albums in general. So Danzig definitely made the list for that. No, I'm not making any Chris Jericho jokes. Don't do that. All right. Next up, of course, is Twisted Sister. Now, when it comes to, I already talked about Motley Crue. Rat. Excuse me. Though I might just giving out some spoilers. Though you probably knew them, might have been coming anyways. Again, with Twisted Sister. You can pretty much their albums after this one were not completely bad, but and I've heard some of their stuff that they had tried out, some of the later ones, whatever, and it's not bad, but when it comes to some extent the second album or the debut, Under the Blade, again, just the whole style with Rat's debut or Motley Crue's earlier stuff. This is definitely somewhere. It's very raw. It's heavy. It's like, this is not something you would really consider hair metal, and you would not even consider completely glam at times. This is, to me, straight up heavy metal for sure. It's raw. Got that new wave of British heavy metal sound, and that's something that Twisted Sister will not recapture for sure. It's there It came out to be like an accident almost with the production, but for some reason, the whole demo kind of quality just added to the sort of unhingedness of this debut, and that's something that will never be recaptured. It's just, almost every track on this sound is fucking great. So with that, again, Twisted Sister is just one of those bands to where, again, they just cannot recapture the sort of feel and attitude of this sound for sure, and of course, some of the extent you can't stop rock and roll. So, that's that. Next up, of course, yeah, I guess I will definitely talk about this band for sure and get them out of the way. Come Twisted Sister, of course, comes Motley Crue, of course, with mainly Shout the Devil for me, even though I love Too Fast for Love, but when I was, and this is the album that really sparked up this whole idea of a video, really what sparked it up, and God, a lot of glare there. This is the album that really sparked it up for me. Re-listening to this album after many years of not listening to it as much, really just sparked it. As much as some of the later Motley Crue albums are not completely terrible, but were not nearly as good to some extent. Sure, maybe just with Theater Pain with some songs on there, not every. If they had left out Smoke in the Boys' Room and Home Sweet Home, maybe it would have been at least a contender at least. But even with other albums, Girls being kind of crappy in a way due to the fact that they were really in the headspace that they were with that one, or I guess Dr. Feelgood, which is it's not a bad album, but again, it's nowhere near Shout the Devil, and their later stuff, the more and more, it just seemed like they just wanted to recapture more so like Dr. Feelgood, more so than trying to recapture the raw, heavy sort of sound of Shout the Devil, which to me was definitely Motley Crue's actual heavy metal album. This was definitely heavy for sure. Very metallic, and this was definitely, when it came to LA metal, this was metallic as shit. Fucking great album for sure. And it's definitely one they'll never recapture for sure, and since they pretty much split up, I'll never get to close to this, and whatever the band member is doing after, it's not going to come close to this. So with that, for sure, I just have to keep re-listening to this album in order for whenever I really want to get my Motley Crue fix. So, there's that. And of course, next band up for sure, coming in the footsteps of Motley Crue is Metallica. Of course, whether or not it's Kill 'Em All or, to some extent, Ride the Lightning. Do I have to go in any detail? We all know where the band went after this one, just like the same thing with Motley Crue. We know where they went, especially during the 90s, and then of course Saint Anger in the 2000s, and so on. And of course, what also kind of sparked of bringing this one as well is the fact that with Hardwired to Self-Destruct, which I didn't pull out, which why do I have to keep pulling out every single album just to make a point? Why do I have to do that? During that, and when that album was being released or so, Lars Ulrich was spouting off saying how Kill 'Em All inspired some of that album to an extent. You know, I don't know where even, sure, maybe the song Spout the Bone, maybe the sense or maybe the title track. But at the same time, when listening to that album, where can you hear Kill 'Em All? You really can't. I think that's just Lars Ulrich trying to sell something for the sake of selling something, just because he wants to see his money. There's nothing from Hardwired to Self-Destruct that has anything on Kill 'Em All, or to some extent, some of the heaviness of Ride the Lightning. There's nothing on there. I don't know where the hell he gets that from. That's just Lars Ulrich just talking out of his ass because he just wants to see some sort of people interested in buying his new album, even though it's not that bad. It's better than most of the stuff that they had at least been releasing. But really, when it comes to their earlier stuff, it has nothing on like Kill 'Em All or Ride the Lightning, and to some extent, it's just, no. They cannot recapture these, and if they wanted to, they just can't. So, once again, Metallica are just going to stay as that band as where the earlier stuff, they cannot touch anymore. Alright, and speaking about another band that will never retouch their earlier stuff, oh, of course, I have to talk about them. That's, of course, is Def Leppard. With, of course, both On Through the Night and, to some extent, some of the stuff off of High and Dry. Whether or not, as much as Joe Elliott will probably say that they might write a hard rock track or so, it's only going to come close to me the hardest stuff off of fucking Hysteria. It's never going to come to the real sort of new wave or British heavy metal sounding stuff of these first two albums. Nowhere is it going to have anything of like Wasted. It ain't going to have a feel of Rock Soft, nor It Don't Matter, no Answer to the Master, no Overture, no, It Could Be You. And when it comes to this one, not really High and Dry, not really, no instruments, like, where's that one at? Switch 625, not even, of course, No. It ain't gonna have, or the title, or the song On Through the Night of the sound, it ain't gonna have that. It ain't. So, the more and more, they just really dip down. As any other band from the new wave or British heavy metal movement, no other band ever dipped as down as Def Leppard did. Whether or not you like them in the first place, for me, from really growing up with this, the sound of this sound, and of course, On Through the Night, the later stuff just doesn't seem to do much for me as much. It just doesn't. So with that, there's your video there. Those are definitely one of the bands that really come to mind when it comes to bands that whose albums, those particular albums where they just can't recapture. It's like, as much as some of these other bands that I should have made some, they're just nothing like the one that you had heard firsthand, like in the case of Motley Crue. As much as some of the other albums really aren't that bad to my ears, they're just nothing like Shout the Devil. There's nothing like it. So with that, hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, or even other bands that you actually want to bring up that albums later on didn't do much, whatever, could never recapture, whatever, you can pretty much talk that down below. So with that, this is Henry Thatcher Sam out, and I'll see you again probably tomorrow with another Album of the Week video. So with that, everyone, take care.